Before we delve into our lesson proper, here's a quote saying, "A plan that emphasizes the parts may pay the cost of failing to consider the whole, and a plan that emphasizes the whole must pay the cost of failing to get down to the real depth with respect to the parts," according to C. West Churchman. Here, the part and the whole are just equally important. Just like in school settings, it is always orchestrated the learning pattern with all parts harmoniously integrated into the whole. The school, the teacher, the students, the objectives, the media, and the materials, and also the assessment tools and the procedures are equally important. So, good day everyone. I'm John Ray Nino Arcaicido. Today we will be tackling all about systematic approach to teaching. Now, what is systematic? I know that you already knowledgeable of preparing lesson plans. Systematic means number one, methodical in procedure or plan or systematic approach. And this systematized instruction can be done while you are preparing your lesson plan. Number two, systematic is organized, relating to or consisting of a system. It follows by studies or research or theories. These are the things we follow because they are already proven to be effective and it follows an orderly fashion. Kaya siya ay organized. Next, it is logical. It follows a specific procedure of and also pinag-isipan ang pagkakasunod-sunod. And this is a systematic thought presented or formulated as a coherent body of ideas or principle. That is why it is systematic thought. Systematic is also efficient, effective in class that marked by thoroughness and regularity. That means it is systematic efforts. It means that it is effective ang pagkaka-arrange mo sa mga parts. Okay, systematic approach to teaching. Okay, it is a network of elements or parts different from each other, but each one is special and in the sense that each performs a unique function for the life and effectiveness of the instructional system. Systematic approach to teaching, like what I have said, it is orchestrated learning pattern with all parts harmoniously integrated into the whole. All parts are equally important. The focus of the systematic instructional planning is the student. The center of all the instructional planning and parts of teaching is the student. Okay, here's a figure that describes the systematized instruction. It describes that it is all about and it also shows the different elements or phases or parts of the instruction or approach to instruction. We will discuss that one by one later. But as we look at this figure, I have a few questions to ask. Who is the center of the instruction? What does the central location in the chart need. Next is, what are the steps in the instructional process or the parts of the systematic instruction, and what does each part means? Okay, number 4, in what way does the chart show systematic or systems approach to instruction? Are these elements or bases of instructions independent, or it can work on its own, or is it interdependent or relates to one another? And number 5 question, can the arrows be made point to the central point, which is the learner? We will discuss those questions. Now, if you are doing your lesson plans, it is always included in the parts of a lesson plan wherein you are going to write down your objectives or goals in your lessons. And of course, when writing or defining your objective, it should be SMART. Should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bounded. In defining defining objectives, instruction begins with the definition of instructional objectives that consider the student's needs, interest, and readiness. Now, in defining objectives, it's not about talking about the topic, but we should follow in the curriculum guide or MELC or most essential learning competencies. We have to consider also yung educational system natin, and it should be aligned to it. Also, in defining objective, you have to consider the learner's needs, the learner's interest, and readiness. So, in preparing instructions, dapat differentiated instruction is very important. Okay, number 2, choose appropriate method. On the basis of these objectives, the teacher selects the appropriate teaching methods to be used. Once you have your objectives, next is you will choose appropriate methods to use. Are you going to make a visual aids? Are you going to make a canned videos or for your online class? Are you going to have a game or give them activities? But of course, these activities depende yon sa inyo or sa teacher, but make sure it is appropriate or based on the interest of or the needs of the learner, and of course the readiness of the learner. Okay, number 3, choose appropriate experience. In turn, based on the teaching method selected, the appropriate learning experience materials, equipment, and facilities will also be selected. You will determine the learning activities or experiences to your learner. When you say experiences, these involves activities that your students will be involved. Of course, in choosing appropriate experience, you will be selecting appropriate materials and facilities in your lessons, and that is number 4. The use of learning materials, equipments, and facilities necessitates assigning the personnel to assist the teacher. Okay, so kung alam mo na ang objective mo, maaari ka ditong mag-incorporate ng educational technology. But of course, it should be according to what is being planned, what is written in your lesson plan. kung walang available na materials na hinihingi from the books or in your um, curriculum guide, you can use mga alternative na equipment or materials. Okay, number 5, assign personnel roles. Okay, defining the role of any personnel involved in the preparation, setting, and returning of these learning resources would also help in the learning process. When I say personnel, this could refer to you or you as a teacher and your colleagues. You will define the rules in their lesson in your lesson preparation, or you can give specific roles in to your students aside from their learning activities. Of course, teacher will assign the different roles to the students so that you will achieve this organized or systematic approach to teaching. Number 6, implement the instruction. This is actually the mode of instruction. Ito na yung pinaka uh, mode ng pagtuturo in which all plans are being utilized. With instructional objectives in mind, the teacher will implement now the planned instructions with the use of selective teaching methods, learning materials with the help of other personnel whose role has been defined by the teacher. Okay, number 7, evaluate outcomes. Of course, after every instructions, teacher should evaluate the outcomes of instruction. From the evaluation results, teacher comes to know if the instructional objectives was attained. Of course, after every activity, we will give post-assessment, or you can also give as an assignments or a formative test or summative test. And these assessments and assignments will be the basis of the teacher kung meron nga bang natutunan or nag-copy-paste lamang yung mga students from their seatmates. Okay, number 8, refine the process. If the instructional objective was attained, teacher proceeds to the next lesson going through same cycle once more. Okay, after your post-assessment, you will determine in the parts of your lesson ang hindi nila natutunan or kung anong part ng lesson sila nahihirapan. And you can change it or modify the methods or the activity. So this could be your self-reflection to your lesson plan. And it is very important from the beginning to end. Lahat ng part na ito ay mahalaga sa systematic approach to teaching. Okay, these are the examples of learning resources for instructional use. Ito na yung mga materials na tinutukoy natin kanina. These are the textbooks, workbooks, program materials. You can use Google Doc, or you can use digital modules where they can answer through their cell phone or tablets, or they can use computer, television programs, video clips, flat pictures, slides, and transparencies. You can also use charts, cartoons, posters, models, mock-ups, flannel board, math, real objects, as well as maps. And these are also examples of learning activities you can incorporate in your activities or in your methods of teaching. You can use reading, writing, interviewing, reporting, or doing presentation, or discussing, thinking, reflecting, dramatizing, visualizing, creating, judging, and evaluating. Okay, to sum up our discussion today, after instructions, teachers should importantly evaluate the outcome of instruction. From the evaluation results, teacher comes to know if the instructional objective was attained. If the instructional objective was attained, teacher now will proceed to the next lesson, going through the same cycle once more. Now, if the instructional objectives was not attained, then the teacher should diagnose kung alin ba doon yung mga alin yung part ng lesson ang ay nahirapan yung mga student or hindi na meet yung objective mo. You will diagnose those uh, and finds out why it was not learned in order to introduce a remedial measure for the improvement of your student performance and attainment of instructional objectives. Okay, thank you everyone for listening. Mabuhay!